Hello, and welcome to a somewhat uh, put off holiday Call of Cthulhu episode. This had originally in my head been planned for Valentine's Day, uh, and that went by, and then St. Patrick's Day, and that went by, and so now Easter is coming up, and I decided just to do a general holiday episode. So, um, my name's Mike. I'll be your Lord Keeper slash storyteller for tonight. And for anybody who's seen our other Call of Cthulhu games, they originally start out as one shots but don't end up that way. So this will be most likely part one. Um, so, and I'm going to go around and have our other three players tell you who they are and who their character is. Um, we'll get into character descriptions when you meet each other, but you can at least tell us your character name and your character occupation. And as you might notice, Robin, one of our normal Call of Cthulhu players, isn't here tonight. She's out of town. She'll be back for part two. Um, and we have a new player tonight. Actually, we have two new players tonight. So um, I will start with Rowain and we'll go around from there.
Hi, I'm Rowain Flynn, and I am new to the Call of Cthulhu here, although I play in the other Fallen Dragons games and DM one of them. I tonight am playing Venus Sandro, who is an artist.
Okay. What'd you say your first name was?
Venus.
Venus. Okay.
hmm
Um, then we'll go over to Josh.
Hi, I'm Josh. You've seen me here a couple times on our previous Call of Cthulhu things. Although I am playing a different character today, I am Charlie Sunwinger, and I am a dilettante with a specialization in archaeology.
Yeah, because Freddy's pretty much mental toast. So you won't be seeing Freddy anymore. Uh, and finally, we'll go down to Gary.
Hello, I'm Gary Wilson. Let me just say I've not played Cthulhu since university in the 1980s, so probably before a lot of people were born. Tonight, I'm going to be playing a character called Lachi Colomor, who's a writer.
Okay. So we have a writer, basically a permanent student, and artist. This should be interesting.
hmm
We're an excellent adventuring party.
Yeah, you know what? I think that's perfectly fine.
Well, actually, given where you're starting out at, it's pretty normal. Um, you find yourselves in a small house in the hills just north of San Francisco. And it's April of 1966. So, for those of you who were around, the summer of love hasn't happened yet, but all that stuff is slowly building toward it. And the three of you, four of you when Robin comes back, have sort of taken over this abandoned house in the hills of north of San Francisco. And the three of you tonight have ideas on creating a commune out of the place, since you're all artist types. And you figure, since you're not in San Francisco itself, it'll be much more peaceful than if you lived in the city. So as we begin, it is just after midnight on the 2nd of April, 1966. What are you guys doing?
Well, so I'm probably just getting back from getting some groceries, in which my personal assistant is the one who actually did all the shopping for us, but I drove it back in my BMW. I have a ridiculous credit rating of 95, so I think I'm the cash for this commune venture.
Okay. So
Okay.
you have a personal assistant, do you?
Yeah, I've also got a maid, but she's not here. She's busy cleaning my actual house in San Francisco proper.
So are you just pretending to be part of this whole like building free love movement?
No, I'm totally into the free love movement. I just happen to have a little bit more cash and don't really know what the hell I'm doing with it.
So was were you born into money or
Oh
did
yeah.
it? Okay, yeah, he's one of these children that were given whatever they wanted as children.
Oh boy, that turned out well as a generation.
Yeah.
It very much did, Leota. I'm glad you agree.
So as he is getting groceries, bringing home groceries, what are the other two of you doing?
Um, well, I am probably working on my art. It is still far away from summer, which means that I won't be out on the beach just yet doing portraits and stuff like that. Portraits and photography for people. But I have extra cash to worry about getting in the meantime. Um, that or I'm probably helping Lachi with his work as a writer.
Yeah, it's a little chilly to be out on the beach just yet.
I think
That'll
Lachi is going to be living the Californian dream. He'll be building up a big open fire for everybody to come home to, and he's not a very good writer. He's not he needs somebody on his back to like force him to write, and he can write when he gets pushed. But at the moment, he's just going to be building a big open fire for everybody to come home to, and like
so are
putting the
you
wine out, decanting the wine.
are you meaning a fire in the fireplace in the house, or are you
A
building
fire
a?
in the fireplace in the house. He'll build it up
Uh,
at the chimney, and like
uh,
just
so you're Because I was like, are you building a bonfire out in the front yard? Or what?
No, it's too cold to be outside. It's April. Like I don't know what American weather's like, but in April it's too cold to be out in Scotland. So you'll be inside building it.
North, Northern California in April is pretty chilly, actually. So when you get when you get home with the groceries, there's a fire in the fireplace. There's a bottle of wine out. Like,
Okay.
And I'm already next to the fireplace, just idly painting. It
Mm.
looks fantastic, though. Like, it's a great painting.
so your art is painting or photography?
Yes.
One of the two. Okay.
Yes.
And
You do know that I'm a master mason, and I'm going to be suggesting little symbols for you to paint on that picture.
Yep. I
Symbolism.
find ways to sneak those in.
And I may not understand what symbolism means, but I'll suggest it to you.
now, you guys, because one of you in the group is wealthy, have an actual TV, which in 1966, even in America, that was rare.
Hmm.
Fact, I think back then you only got one channel, but are any of you attempting to watch it, or have you pretty much given up on the one channel that's available?
I mean, that one channel at midnight,
It's
chances
basically
are.
it's basically a test pattern at midnight,
Yeah.
a black and white test pattern, no less.
Yeah, not all that interested in it personally.
So, well, uh, above game, since this is 1966 San Francisco Bay Area,
Hmm.
uh, there will be somewhat liberal uh, comments and therefore uses of recreational drugs because in 66 in the Bay Area, everybody was doing it. In fact, you were looked at rather oddly if you weren't doing.
Hmm.
So, so I just wanted to say that in case some of our audience out there is a bit iffy about that. Um,
Well, I'm European and Scottish, and I've came across with my European wine that I'm drinking, and I'm obviously going to be flirting just so much with the female. But Josh, I'm hoping you as well. I think I might put my hand on your knee.
and
That just forges.
and that leads me into wondering what kind of groceries you're piling out of your BMW.
That's a good question. What was common at the time for like he doesn't know any better than to buy mostly steaks and high-end cuts of meat and high-end vegetables and fruits and stuff as much as you can get those in 1966, which is a fair amount.
Yeah. Well,
Hmm.
in California, it
Yeah.
wouldn't be an issue.
So it's mostly fruits, vegetables, and extremely expensive cuts of meat. Because they're the better ones, right? So why would I get the worse ones?
You know the only
work.
reason that you're allowed in this commune venture is because your meal ticket, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. He doesn't quite understand that. Well, he can probably guess. He's got a good int, but
Well,
You know, Europeans love to cook. You could come into the kitchen and Lachi could show him how to actually prepare that meat and those fruits.
yeah, that would probably not be something that Charlie would know how to do
because
because he's got a
because
personal chef back home.
because in April it's too early for the commune to start their garden yet, so it's
Wait,
kind of
we have someone this rich and we're still gonna garden?
Yeah, that's what Charlie wants to do.
Are you sure your int's high?
His int is 90. It's as high as it can get.
Okay.
He's just
co-
not that sane.
the
Okay.
biggest reason commune started was were to be self-sufficient.
Yeah, by a
Okay,
bunch of rich people who really didn't care about that, but I digress.
well, some of them were and some of them weren't,
Yep.
but in your case, the fact that it's early April when you don't have your garden yet surely comes in handy. Um, so,
You
are
know,
you?
I think Lachi would be going behind Venus and wrapping his arms around her and showing her how to knead bread and like showing her how to make the food and put it in the oven. Like he's quite smooth that way.
Actually, now that you're all three back at the house, what do the three of you look like?
So, Charlie's a about 6 foot even tan guy with blonde hair and blue eyes in a nice sweater vest and khakis or whatever.
Oh, wow,
He's
it's Fred out of Scooby Doo.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, oh, I love it.
Almost, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, think Fred from Scooby Doo. He's mostly got his tan because of surfing. He's not like actually out in the sun very often, other than for surfing. So it just is sort of a faded tan at this point because it's early
Mm,
April.
With
yeah.
his kind of money, are you sure that's from surfing and he doesn't make the butler go surfing for him and call himself a surfer?
No, with this kind of money, he can actually afford a good board in
Mm.
1966.
Because if he had a tan and the butler went surfing, the, it means he'd have to have one of those spray on things. And
And
in
those were
60s,
carcinogenic in the 60s.
Everything was carcinogenic in the 60s.
if they even had such a thing in 1966.
Yeah.
Uh, So, what does the resident artist look like as she's sitting by the fireplace painting whatever she's painting?
She is around like the 5'6" kind of range of height. She has very long golden hair that's kind of curly. Um, she's kind of a curvy kind of girl with deep kind of honey brown eyes. And generally can be seen always kind of trying to stay ahead of the latest fashion trends at the moment. So lots of loudly colored like knit tops and fashion prints, and she's kind of getting into this whole idea of like the growing free love movement, and like always has flowers that are woven into her hair or like worn some way. It's mostly fashion for her, but
Mm,
she's kind of buying into the whole new wave.
Okay. And what does a resident European look like?
Well, he's typical Scot. He's not tanned. He's very white because we don't have sun. He's very led on by our artist. Like he thinks that when he met her, that's his muse, and that's why he's wearing like a knitted cap like that, because he's led by the hand through the nose, and he's following her for fashion, and he's really, really besotted, but he's just
Eh,
living the Californian dream. He's overdoing his masters just now at university, and he can't believe his luck, like just joining the Californian
I
winters.
was about to ask, what is this pale Scottish person doing in Northern California right now?
He's
Oh,
joined. He managed to get on an exchange program. Like he's finished his baccalaureate. He's doing his masters now. He's not working particularly hard at it, but he's got his muse. And although she might be sitting there painting, he's sitting thinking about things and how he can write her into the scenes in his book.
Okay.
But also, Charlie's there as well. Charlie might be getting his eye too.
Well, what is Charlie's assistant that did the shopping for him look like?
Harold, he is a
Harold, okay.
put upon probably early 60s man. He was he was uh, Charlie's father's assistant when he first was brought in, and just has stayed on
Okay.
with the family
Yeah.
even after his dad passed. Um, he's probably like 5'10", maybe 5'9", wearing a suit and like nice leather loafers, and that whole is supposed to be looking like he's a businessman, but like he's stuck next to these hippies.
wow. Wow.
Bet he's having a blast.
I don't know how Venus feels about this whole situation of being in a commune with the obvious capitalist shill.
Oh
And
no,
Europeans
no.
are all socialists anyway, so
Charlie's not a capitalist. He doesn't need to be a capitalist. He's just from money.
Well, yeah, Venus has to remember, without Charlie, you guys would have to go to work.
Oh, hey, you know what? I make good money in the summer.
Well,
I
it's
beg your
not.
pardon. Doing what?
Painting portraits on the beach.
Okay then, that's okay.
It's only the 2nd of April. So, um, and by the summer, Charlie will be happy to let you make the money because he'll be off surfing, or at least fake surfing, or whatever it is that he does. So Charlie brings the groceries into the kitchen and sorts them all out.
Does Charlie do this or does the butler do this?
The
Let's be
butler's back
honest.
at home. The assistant is back at
Oh,
home.
okay, assistant.
Yeah. He
Well,
he's
Lachie will help, like, because Lachie likes cooking, and especially if it's gorgeous cuts of meat, he's going to be right in there and sorting it out and putting it in frying pans and attempting to do
The
things with it.
Harold actually did the shopping, loaded this stuff into Charlie's car, and then left. He's like, it's late enough that I'm off for the night. I'm going home.
Yeah.
Um, so the two of you sort out the food, and it looks like you guys are having steak and vegetables for dinner this evening because that's mainly what Charlie bought. Uh, did Harold buy the appropriate bottle of wine to go with
Yes.
dinner?
Oh
Okay.
yeah. He
Wine's already there, Mike. Gary's brought it. Oh, sorry, Latchy's brought it over from Europe. Like so, he's got
Well,
some
yeah,
wine. Like he's corked it and it's breathing now. Like so, there's some gorgeous wine waiting and stuff.
but you know, Harold the butler's been taught that with steaks you've got to have the proper bottle of wine and all that.
So there's several bottles of wine, one set up for each portion of steak, basically, just because Charlie happens to be a drinker.
Mm-hmm. So nice bottle of Chateauneuf, Chateauneuf de Pape.
So,
I don't know enough about wine in
Some
real
They-
red
life to.
wines that you can have with it. A lovely Burgundy, like possibly a Bergerac as well. If you spending money, you could have all that.
Huh?
basically, um, Charlie will pay money for expensive wine, but as long as it's not, you know, the local $4.99 bottle, he'll drink it no matter what it is.
Yeah.
Chateauneuf de Pape comes from the Pope's Vineyard in the south of France. It is gorgeous and it's 300 years old.
Yeah.
Ah,
Although the wine itself will only be 3 or 4 years.
so yeah, Pope wine. That sounds exactly like what Charlie would be buying.
That's exactly how I would expect an American in the 1960s to describe it as, too.
Yep.
Mhm.
Got some of this here Pope wine.
It's better. It's better than the cardboard box stuff, let me tell you.
Yeah.
Uh, and that,
Because Latchy's Scottish, you've got some exotic American stuff called lager, and you'll probably like try to do that. Like you've got Budweiser, which is like a really exotic Belgian beer, like made by monks up in
Yeah.
the Alps. So he's going to have a bottle of that.
You're going to be sorely disappointed.
Yeah.
And one of the things that do appear on one channel of TV is beer commercials for Olympia beer in '66. Something about a bear playing baseball, and when the game's over, he drinks beer, and it's a cartoon. So, because I remember seeing it myself. It's the only funny thing on the one channel of TV that you get.
Did the cat just knock the
Yeah, cat just destroyed the phone.
Well,
Now she's howling.
apparently Latchy's been drinking while he's been waiting for the two of you,
Of course he has.
waiting for Charlie to get home.
Always.
Yeah. So, you guys, it's rather odd that you guys are having dinner at midnight, but, you know, these things happen.
When you're living a free spirited life, one does not need to
Yeah.
adhere to traditional timelines.
Yeah, you guys don't really have a schedule for anything. The closest thing to a schedule is Charlie. And that's because his parents keep nagging him to show up to things.
Yeah.
Which is the downside to having money, especially family money.
Yeah, if you were just poor like the rest of us, you could live free. Let me liberate your money from you.
Charlie's like, how about I keep the money and you liberate my parents from me?
That's illegal. That's called murder.
Is it really illegal if you don't get caught doing it?
Well, that's a moral issue for another time.
Yeah. Actually, this is this is the discussion you guys have while cook cooking dinner and emptying the first bottle of wine that Charlie brought home. Because apparently um, Charlie had a rough day running around doing things his parents wanted him to do. That's why he didn't get around to groceries until midnight. Or Harold didn't get around to groceries until midnight. Because your parents aren't real fond of this commune thing you've mentioned a couple of times.
They're fonder of it than they are about the occult studies that I do all the time.
Well, your father wants you to take over the family business.
I
Yeah,
I am not going to do well when that time comes.
your mother keeps nagging you about grandkids, even though you're not even dating anybody. She's like, when are you gonna give me grandkids?
And I'm in my early 20s.
Yeah.
It was a different time, man.
The closest thing you're dating is your surfboard.
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna say Harold, but
No,
we
no.
had different ideas there.
That's just wrong dating your servant.
Yeah.
Ha-
It might work,
Harold
I suppose.
Harold got a different agenda. Harold's waiting for the parents and Charlie to all three kick off so he gets everything.
Wonder if I can get in his ear and tell him that if he marries one of them, he'll get the money sooner.
Because Harold's been working for the family for 40 years and he's like, you know, with what I make, I want everything when they croak.
Yeah.
Are you sure you want to eat the food he buys?
Oh yeah. We pay him fairly well. Like, he just wants the extra cash.
So Venus, if I got this right, so Charlie's butler seduces him, and I seduce you, and you seduce the butler, and eventually we bump everybody all off, and we both get the money at the end.
You know, you make a strong argument.
Does Latchy have has he been thinking about this enough to actually have a plan? Or
He's not. Well, Latch is really naive because he's European and like he's not used to this bohemian Californian lifestyle. Like, and he's utterly besotted with Venus when he's came over, and then he's discovered all sorts of possibilities with Charlie and butlers and things. So his mind's just getting blown. He can't think straight.
We'll talk about get rich quick schemes. I have some plans. I think we should
It's-
convince Charlie that I'm going to be a super famous artist and he should invest at the ground floor and buy all my paintings at a markup.
And part of my background, I'm also been ghostwriting for the in those days there was popular pulp fiction magazines that came out every month, and Lachie's trying to make his name writing for um what was that pulp fiction magazine that I invented?
Oh, the
Um,
Cthulhu Times or
All of
something.
Cthulhu. Yeah, he writes for that, and he also writes for one called Edgar Rice Burroughs' Life on Mars, and so he's trying to become a famous author, but he needs some promotion. So he might chat up Charlie just to get some backup for that.
So both of you are basically going to try and hit up Charlie for money.
Mm-hmm.
Charlie has enough money that isn't actually even a problem. Like, coming in Venus's paintings would be a great way to launder money for, tax purposes. So,
See, I told you he was an evil capitalist pig dog. He's talking about money laundering now.
well, you don't want to pay taxes, man. That just goes to the government to fund wars.
Ugh, that
Do you know,
hurts.
I work in finance, and they gave us. But this is an aside. But in real life, they give us instruction how to money launder. They're supposed to be telling us how not to do it, but they actually give you classes on how to money launder. So it's amazing how capitalists
You
get to.
see, Charlie doesn't even deal with taxes because his family has an accountant and his parents do all that stuff. So,
But he's learning. He's learning early how to deal with taxes, which includes
yeah,
buying art at a loss and then
yeah.
selling it later when your taxes are looking better.
Boy, do I have a collection of portraits for you to have a look at.
See,
Um,
Charlie, buying art is a good way to launder dirty money. Like, and you can buy the art with cash. Of your underworld associates give you dirty money through drug money, for instance. They can pay with, and when you sell that painting again, it's clean money.
That's true.
You can sell the painting
Not
at a
not
loss.
that not that Charlie's family is involved in drugs at all, but Charlie himself might be at this point.
well, I was about to ask that, but given the year and where you guys live, you're all
Yeah, we're
involved
all involved
on,
with drugs in some way or
on
another.
some level. It's like,
Hey, we're just alcoholic artists. Thank you very much.
If you aren't
Like,
smoking pot, then there's something wrong with your characters at this day and age.
Lachie's Scottish. Lachie takes a big whitey, so if you happen to give him drugs, then you might be able to use this in the next couple of episodes. But Lachie will take a whitey if you give him drugs. Like, he can't handle it. Pure
fact, a quarter of your garden is various various strains of marijuana.
But that's just because it's ambient in the breeze at that point.
Yeah,
There's just
Well,
some open soil and it takes seed.
yeah.
yeah.
I've got someone that's got a request to make, and she
Well,
says, "Can half the garden be catnip?"
half the garden be catnip.
Yeah.
Not quite half the garden, no. That's a lot of catnip.
Well, we've got an intense drug addict there.
He very much is. Yeah.
Now you know why he periodically wanders off for days at a time.
Yeah.
You thought it was, it had a family. What it actually was is he has a dealer over on the corner.
Catnip dealer.
Well, people will sell anything they can get a hold of to make money right now. Um, and catnip's legal, so if you can pull it off.
Yeah.
So I have a burning question for Charlie here. So this is 1960s America. So are you in college just to not get drafted?
Um, yeah, pretty much. Or he's in college because he wants to like pursue his archaeology, but he also has pursued archaeology into some really dark places and doesn't want to get drafted to go back there. Like,
Because
Do you think Lachie's going to have a problem with him because Lachie done his national service and he's served Queen and Country?
well, it's probably a bit of a difference between like this is right up before Nom, right?
This is during.
This is during
During
Nom?
yeah,
that, no, that is
Yep.
a
Okay.
Yeah,
this
this
is
is active nom.
this is early stages. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so this is where basically someone with money would have to say bone spurs if they weren't in college.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're in Northern California. Si- you have your family has plans to spirit you away to Canada if the need ever arises.
Yeah.
And yes, Latchy did his national service, but what he came away with out of that was I don't ever want to go back there again. That's why he's in California now.
Mike, he done his national service in like damp and misty Wales. And that's when he joined the Knights Templar and like became a Masonic member and learned some pretty occult stuff. And that's possibly why he's drawn to Charlie to talk about things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Charlie is a master of occult knowledge, so he knows his shit when it comes to that.
He
That's
just
what
was begging to go insane.
Yeah.
that's what he actually spends his time in the college library doing is looking up that stuff.
Yeah. And his family library, which has his grandfather's writings on it, who he was an occult scholar as well.
So you spend all of your time learning about the occult, and that's like your main thing in life. Are you sure you're into 90?
Yep. So's my occult.
Okay.
Was Charlie's grandfather, was he of the old country or was he American? I mean, was he part of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn or something like that? Like something really obscure?
He was probably let's see, I think this time period he would have been Golden Dawn or Crowley's work from the post Golden Dawn stuff.
Yeah, I'm not sure what year the two of them split. I'd have to look it up.
Yeah.
It was way beforehand, I think, Mike.
But Charlie's grandfather would have been part of all that. The question is, did he do it in America or did he come over?
So he would have had
But
to
Crowley had a commune in Italy in the early 20s or 30s, does he not? Or 40s?
yeah. Um Thelema. When was Thelema? Oh gosh. Wasn't he in Algeria at the time? No, he was apparently he was in Surrey.
Mm.
So I guess he would have come over from the old country.
Mm. So the question is, well, has Charlie ever been over there?
Charlie has been over there to his family's old estates a couple of times. He's also been a couple of other places in the world doing digs for occult knowledge. He's never really encountered anything particularly strange, but he's seen some less than savory statuary and that kind of thing.
Did
Which
Lachie meet Charlie when he came across? Like we've got a place called Roslyn Chapel, which is lots of statuary, and it's very, very weird what goes on there.
there might have been a chance that they would have met at that time.
We're both of a similar age, so we might have been studying together.
Let's see. I'll do a luck roll and see if that happened.
Well, actually, why don't both of you do it?
Yeah,
You've got to tell me how to do that, Mike. What shape is the dice?
it's the 2d10s. It's the one that has the double zeros and the normal
right, that
d10.
Those are the only two dice you use for this game.
Pretty much,
Okay, I
unless
got
you're
a
dealing
60.
damage.
What does that mean?
What is your luck number on your sheet?
Okay, Leota just sent me that. Leota rolled my sheet for me,
50.
so
So
His luck's 50.
they got a 60 out of 50. So
I got a 3, so
out of what?
out
Out
of
of what?
70.
Okay. So what happened was this. Latchy and Charlie did meet, but Latchy didn't know who Charlie was at the time. Charlie, however, had quite a bit of knowledge about the area because he'd done digs there before. And so it was really odd for Charlie when the three of you actually ended up living in the same house in the Bay Area of California.
Yeah, Charlie remembers you, but he doesn't know if you remember him. So it's one of those like, is this guy for real? kind of
it
questions.
would be one of these throwback things that you're so rich and famous that I would. I don't know if I start hero worship in you or something because of that. But the first personality, the first real superstar that I've ever met, just because of your wealth.
I don't think that Charlie was flashing his wealth when he was on the digs, though. I mean, technically he wears enough jewelry that he would be, kind of, but
He didn't, but his parents did because they let everybody know that they were helping to fund this.
yeah.
and that's why you were there. Because for them, the more notoriety they get, the more investors and funding they get. And to your parents, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
That's why they want you to discover something that nobody's ever seen yet, because it'll add to their fundraising and such.
I think there's someone saying hello to us.
She's in season, like, give her a chance.
Either that or Latchy is accidentally
There's a little
cut
grey and white
something up.
fluffy cat next door that like she's after her,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
Cute cat
Latchy,
anyway, right, Rowan. So.
Latchy thought he was cutting steak and it wasn't. So, so yeah. So Charlie and Latchy have this sort of, I won't say tense, but kind of odd relationship because they're still trying to figure out where they've seen each other from and how they ended up in the same house together.
Yeah.
Venus and Lache have a very. We worked out her backstory because I met her on the beach last year when she was painting people and she was taking the photographs, and it got very, very intense.
And Charlie just sort of met you both through college and has been, like, hey, do you want to have a commune? He started this whole thing to get away from his parents more than anything.
Oh wow! And you had the money to do that. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, good luck.
And when Venus was up taking pictures of the areas when she found the old abandoned house that you guys now live
There's nothing a starving artist doesn't love more than a cash cow machine.
Yeah.
in. Yeah.
This way you won't be literally starving.
If she wasn't more polite, if she wasn't more polite and they actually had them in '66, she would have nicknamed you ATM.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Uh,
But she's got enough charm to avoid that.
yeah. So, did Venus take art classes or did she develop what she does literally by herself?
Venus basically spent the time she should have spent in like her high school years learning what her parents would have called the more functional skills in society and instead just devoted her time to art.
She was one of those kids that you never saw her without a sketch pad in her hand.
Yeah, and then she left home with no marriage prospects and no inclination to go to university. So she's kind of the black sheep of her family at the moment. And now she's shacking up with a European guy and house sharing or living in a commune. So she's about as ostracized from her family as she can get.
You guys have
I
some.
beg your pardon. I can guarantee that Lache would charm your mother and father to bits. You'd be eating out my light bulb.
You guys have such wonderful relationships with your parents. It's like
You know,
it's
I'm a
amazing
I'm a
how this
free
works.
spirit woman in 1960s America. I did
Lache
nothing.
sent a picture of Venus back to his parents in Edinburgh, and they think it's awesome that he's got an exotic American girlfriend. Because Americans are exotic, let's face it. That's in the old country. I sent yours as well, Charlie. Don't worry.
Ladgy spends most of his time when he's not writing trying to get his roommates fixed up and with other people.
Yeah.
So by about 1:30 in the morning, you guys have gone, you've finished dinner, uh, you've gone through at least 2 bottles of wine. Um, if any of you had actual marijuana on you, you've rolled it and used it by now.
Oh, don't worry, Charlie makes sure that everybody has exactly what they need.
Um, all 3 of you are sitting on pillows on the floor, staring at the fire in the fireplace.
I'll have to build that up again, but I can't do.
And this is not necessarily a foreign thing. You guys do this most nights. It's just that it's not usually 1:30 in the morning. Um, and it's really the temperature up in the hills above San Francisco's dropped considerably. It's like for April, it's maybe in the 40s.
Yeah.
So
What's that in real temperature?
Hold on.
Cold, I presume.
About 4.
All right, okay.
you don't want to know what Vegas was today.
Yeah.
It was 92 here.
Nearly boiling water.
Yeah, almost. Yeah. For the end of March, it was 92 degrees.
Good luck with summer.
I'm going to find a way not to be here for that. So as Latchy is building up the fire, Venus starts grabbing piles of blankets because you guys are getting fairly cold sitting on the pillows on the floor. And after a bit, the three of you start drifting off. And it doesn't take long for the three of you to be unconscious. And Charlie starts like rolling around and mumbling and just not having a very restful sleep because he has had a stressful day dealing with his parents. Because, like I said, every time he sees his father, all all his father talks about is Charlie taking over the family business, and all his mother talks about is grandkids, and all Charlie wants to do is basically live his life and blow as much money as he can manage. Um, and he starts to dream. And the dream actually looks fairly peaceful. Um, Wide open field, trees around. Doesn't look anything like the area where he lives. It looks more like maybe the Midwest somewhere where there's meadows and trees and, and he's actually just laying in the field on his back. It's a sunny day. He's just relaxing. or at least trying to. And he hears something slightly distant walking toward him through the meadow. He can hear it because the grass in the meadow is dry enough that it crunches every now and again. He looks up and first he doesn't necessarily understand what he sees. Um, Give me a wits and intelligence roll for
Uh,
Charlie.
wits or
Oh, I'm thinking mage.
oh yeah,
Sorry. Um,
spot hidden or listen or just intelligence.
yeah, intelligence to see if you can understand what you're actually looking at.
Okay. 70 even out of 90.
Um, when you look up from your reclined position, you initially think you see your father standing there, which is odd in itself because you definitely don't dream about your father.
Yeah.
Uh, but then you look a second time and try to focus, and this time it's not your father. It's a male of about 4 feet tall with greenish gray skin, wearing a 3-piece suit with a tie.
Uh, hello?
Hello.
Do I know
I've
that I'm
come.
dreaming?
No.
Okay.
Your initial thought was the weed you smoked was stronger than you thought,
Yeah.
especially combined with the amount of wine you all drank. Um, I'm here to warn you
Warn me of what?
something is coming.
Something's coming? Should I leave, I say, sitting up more from my current position?
Says this was of your parents' doing, so the choice to stay or go is yours.
I get up and look around to see what might be coming, because I don't know exactly what he means.
He says, "Oh, it's not coming now."
Oh, good.
But what I will say is, well, the occult study that you've apparently done may save your life.
Yeah, should I roll occult to try and recognize this entity?
You can if you like.
Sure. 64 out of 90.
The closest you can recall by any pictures you've seen is that this creature looks like it might be a leprechaun.
Huh.
Um, only the suit is much less garish. It almost looks like what Harold would look like if Harold was a leprechaun.
Okay. That's weird. I'm still thinking that I might be a little too high, but I also don't discount my dreams because with enough occult studies, dreams are a serious and important thing. Or whatever the hell this is. My hallucinations, I guess.
You have no idea what's going on.
Yeah. I've never seen
Because
anything like this before, but
you really don't know how you even got to where you apparently are right now.
yeah. I'm hoping it's a hallucination and I'm just tripping from something that was in that weed.
And he says, well, I have told you all I can tell you. I hope you survive on some level.
Well, thank you for the warning. I don't know what's going on, but I will listen to you.
And he says, that would be advisable. And with that, he turns and walks away. And then, with somewhat of a startle, you wake up and you're laying face down on the pillow that you were sitting on in front of the fireplace.
Huh. I you know, I totally am this kind of guy. I wake the two of them up and tell them about my dream.
Oh, goody. That kind of guy.
It's about 4:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
It's still, it's still pitch black and very cold outside.
Guys, I think I got a warning from a messenger.
A messenger.
Yeah,
Mm,
something's coming.
what's
Oh,
coming? Tell us what you saw.
Well, there was a man in a suit. He was green and gray,
Oh,
and
well.
he was about 4 feet tall, and he told me that something was coming, and he hoped that I would be able to survive it, and that all my
Right.
studies would help me with it.
Can Lachi make a throw? He has understanding of the old world beasties and leprechauns and redcaps and brownies and such like. But because he swore his vow to the Templars, he may not be able to give that information across to Charlie.
Well, you can make an occult roll
Okay,
and
which
see
number
how
then?
it's the 10 sided. Your
Right,
two, your
I've
two
got a 50,
10.
I've got a 50 on right, what am I rolling a 50 on?
I don't know if I gave you a cult.
Right. No, you never give me a call.
So it's
Well,
5%.
yikes.
You shoot in for a 5.
But does that mean I'm not allowed to give Charlie that information?
Well, it means one of two things. It means either you don't know any information about the creature he described, or if you do know, you're not allowed to tell him. Because, in fact, if you've sworn an oath to the Templars, you're not allowed to let any of that kind of information get out. Because they don't want to panic the general public.
I can find a workaround. My girlfriend, whom in my mind is Venus, I could pillow talk it to her.
You could, or you either do that or you decide that you have to handle this. At least you're part of this on your own. So whichever way you want to go with it.
Okay, Match is fairly loyal. He may tell Venus later, but he's not telling her just now.
And I'm going to remind Charlie that if dreams were meant to be told to other people, they would play out of our eyes like movies.
Which, being still half drunk and half stoned, that sentence made perfect sense to you. Which,
I'm totally going to write all of this out in my dream journal, though.
Of course, a guy like you has a dream journal.
hold it, doesn't everybody?
I've got a Star Trek journal that Leora gave me, but that's it.
I used to have them. I don't know what closet they're in at the moment. And
Oh wow, Mike, that's such an American word, closet.
Yeah.
Cupboard.
My closet is a deadly place to go. Things can fall on you and kill you in my closet.
So that's where you hide the bodies.
My bedroom closet is the only one big enough. It's like, come on. So you all, Charlie tells you all his dream, and you guys are like I said, half drunk, half stoned, and half asleep at 4:30 in the morning. So Venus and Latchy are like, oh, we'll deal with it tomorrow. We're going back to sleep. And the two of them pass out. What does Charlie do?
So Charlie is going to go to his car, open the trunk, open the case in the trunk that he has, and pull out the pair of gold-plated 45s that he has in there.
Only Charlie have gold-plated 45s.
Well, they just weren't special enough without that.
Like I said.
And then he's going to put them into a pair of holsters and go wrap a coat around himself and go back into the house and just sort of wait. Maybe do some occult research or occult like guessing from his journal.
Okay. Um,
He'll eventually pass out, I'm pretty sure, because he's still drunk, high, and and
half
tired.
asleep.
Oh yeah,
Well,
it's exactly who I want to have the firearms.
you're
Yeah,
not you're not really half asleep because you went out into the cold night air to get the guns out of your car.
that's fair.
So you in fact are half stoned and half drunk, but you are perfectly awake, um,
But
and
not
wishing
forever.
you weren't.
Yeah.
Um, as Latchy drifts off, he finds himself, he awakens in a familiar but not familiar place. And the first thing he has to do is duck as there are bullet noises coming from all directions. He finds himself in the middle of a battle, but what is not familiar are the things doing battle. Did Latchy ever play with those plastic toy soldiers when he was a little kid?
Oh yes, his very first box was a box of German SS mountain troops wearing M43 hats.
Okay.
I remember them to this day. I was 8 years old.
So ah, when he gets a second to raise his head and look around him, he sees on either side what he can only imagine as life-size plastic soldiers that are actually shooting at each other with real bullets that are flying around. One side look like the soldiers you remembered as a child. The other side looks like the California surfer people that you've seen down on the beach, except they all have guns. They're still carrying surfboards, but they're shooting at the other side. Eh, And one of them turns to you and says, something is coming, and you have to make a decision about what side you're going to be on. And he turns back around, and the shooting starts again. And you suddenly feel a sharp pain in your shoulder as one of the bullets ricochet off and hits you in the shoulder. But with that, you wake up and you find yourself in the exact position you were in when you went back to sleep. You have a blanket over you and the fire's going, and you notice Charlie sitting in a chair reading his journal, and Venus is unconscious a little ways from you. What do you do?
I'm going to have to speak to Charlie and tell him that I've had a message. Rub my
Well,
shoulder. Is
oh,
my shoulder okay?
your shoulder? You're not injured, but if you were to take off your shirt, you would notice a purplish bruise on your shoulder that wasn't there before.
Mm. Much as I'd love Venus to watch me taking off my shirt, I'm going to leave her to sleep. And I'll put more blankets over her and protect her. And I'll go to Charlie and say, I've had a message. And you just said you had a message. What was it?
Something's coming.
Something is coming. Something is coming. Now, I noticed that you've got the gold-plated guns. I'm Scottish and I really hate guns, and I don't like that culture. But somewhere, either underneath my armpit or down my ankle, I've got a knife. I'll protect us too.
Charlie nods and says, "All right, if you want to get a bigger knife, there's some in the kitchen, I think."
Mine's is sharp enough.
All right.
Yeah, there are your standard kitchen knives. You know, the butcher block set with all the assorted blades and such.
Mm, In the 60s in Scotland, it was a man was known as a man because of his fists, not because of any weapons. So Latchy's happy enough with his fists and his knife.
Latchy wouldn't want to use the block, the knives out of the block in the kitchen because, like he said, he enjoys cooking and he wouldn't want to damage his cooking equipment. So he would only use those if he was desperate and didn't have anything else.
You will edge closer to Venus and try and protect her from whatever's coming. He's looking at the window and the door. He thinks it's still physical that's going to come through things. And he likes
And
Charlie as well, so he's going to be sitting next to him and like protecting him too.
and as Latchy puts the extra blanket on Venus, it makes you twitch a bit. And you open your eyes, or at least you thought you opened your eyes.
Mm-hmm.
But you, in fact, are in. Got to be careful of those 15-foot tall rabbits. They can walk through windows and such.
Mm-hmm.
You find yourself, oddly enough, in what looks like the exact place you were when you went to sleep. The fire is getting a little low in the fireplace. you see Charlie sitting in a chair looking at his journal or looking at some book. You don't really know what it is yet.
Mm-hmm.
And you see Latchy just sort of staring out the windows and uh, holding a fairly decent sized knife in his lap as he's doing so.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't, this is where you think you are, but you don't feel anything. There's no real sensation. You can see,
Mm-hmm.
but it doesn't feel like anything.
Gonna have to pause the recording for a moment.
Okay. Hello. Welcome back to our Call of Cthulhu one shot that probably will turn into two. When we left this group before break, Charlie and Latchy had both had very strange dreams, letting them know that something was coming. Um, and Venus is in the middle of what she assumes is a dream as she is looking into the room that she is currently in, and she can see the fireplace, and she can see Latchy looking at the windows, and Charlie holding gold-plated pistols, reading something. And about the time she looks over at Charlie and starts to wonder what he's actually reading. A solid black bunny rabbit with red eyes walks out of the fireplace, which is lit and burning currently. Initially, the bunny is just the right size to come out of the fireplace.
Mm-hmm.
Once it clears the fireplace, it walks toward Venus, but as it does, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger till it's just barely not hitting its head on the ceiling in the room. And it slowly looks up at Venus
Mm-hmm.
or down at Venus with
Mm-hmm.
its red eyes flashing. And then it looks around and sees her two roommates doing what they were doing. And it says in a surprisingly deep voice for a rabbit, uh, I see a couple of them have already been warned.
About what?
Uh, something is coming.
That's it.
The, the three of you are the only three that can deal with it. Um, and it stops for a second and actually puts one of its paws on its chin as if it's considering something. And then, while it's considering whatever it's considering, blood starts dripping off of the two large front teeth.
Okay. That's not what you want to see in your giant demonic looking bunny.
And slowly the puddle of blood on the floor gets larger and larger.
Mm-hmm.
It says, finally, putting a paw down, says, I can tell you one further piece of information. You have 3 days before this happens.
Okay. That's, very specific. Thank you for all of your incredibly accurate information.
Well, for one, I'm a rabbit.
Mm-hmm.
And for two, this is your dream, not mine.
Then I'm choosing to dream that that's actually a raspberry filling in a chocolate bunny.
And with that, he turns and walks back toward the fireplace, leaving a trail of blood. And he shrinks down small enough to fit in the fireplace and disappears. At which point you wake up. Oddly enough,
Mm-hmm.
the trail of blood from your pillow to the fireplace is still there.
I'm gonna double check that it's not actually raspberry filling.
No.
Mm.
You dip a finger into the largest part of the pool, and it is actually blood. So your mental mechanism to create raspberry filling did not work.
Well, it was worth a try.
Well, yeah.
It was my dream.
So now all three of you are awake.
Do the other two of us smell the blood?
The other two of you saw it.
Ah,
The other two of you can see it. It leads from, there's a large puddle right in front of Venus's pillow, and then there's a trail leading from that into the fireplace.
so I'm like, Venus, are you okay? Are you bleeding?
No, I think I just got warned by the evil Easter Bunny.
The evil Easter Bunny?
Oh, poor baby. Let me clean the blood up. I'm going to mop that blood.
So,
Yeah, the evil Easter Bunny. You know, if you need a better description than that, I don't know what to tell you.
Okay.
It's a pity it wasn't real life. I had a cat on the back of my seat half an hour ago that could have dealt with it.
Probably too big for her.
yeah, because the description you give them is basically a 9 foot tall, solid black bunny with flashing red eyes and blood dripping off fairly large front teeth.
Until you got to the word bunny, that was pretty appealing.
Uh, so Latchy goes into the kitchen, grabs the closest thing approximating a mop, brings it in, and starts mopping up the blood on the floor over by the fireplace.
I'm actually gonna go to my nearest sketch pad or paints or whatever, and I'm actually gonna try to recreate the bunny from memory.
Okay. Um, do you have a skill that would approximate that?
Yep, I do. I have painting.
Give me a painting roll then.
That's both my percent and my D10, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is a 95 off of an 80 painting.
So, no.
You can get somewhat of a sketch, but since it was a dream, the longer you're awake, the foggier it's getting. So you're having difficulty with the detail of it.
Okay.
Not quite a botch, but very close.
Well, 80 out of 95, not that bad. She just a normal fail.
Yeah,
Basically.
96 plus is a botch always, though, so she got close.
If she got a 99, she
Yeah.
tries to draw and her arm locks up or something.
Yeah.
Mm.
But, so, what are the three of you doing now?
Hmm. Well,
Well,
Once I finish cleaning up, Latchy's going to first round the two of them and make sure they sit next close to the fire. And sit a bit in front of them and look out the window because he thinks it's going to be coming externally.
I'm gonna be a little wary of the fire, seeing as the giant demon bunny came from the fire.
yeah,
So I will make sure that Charlie sits between me and the fire, so I can push him over and run.
Charlie's
Oh,
actually going to suggest that
okay.
that we drive over to his parents' place so that he can do some research. But he doesn't
Now,
want to leave you guys alone there. So you could stay at the guest bedrooms that night.
I think Charlie is trying to kill us.
because it is between 5 and 5:30 in the morning.
More importantly, your dream said that it was because of your parents. So yeah, I totally want to go to the people who are responsible for the thing coming.
Well, then maybe we should go to the university library. They've got some tomes on this sort of thing.
I think perhaps if it's your parents, if you're so rich, your dad must be an alumni of either a Masonic lodge or some sort of temple. Perhaps if you gain access there, and I can use my handshakes and get us in to their library for occult knowledge.
Well,
It's not a bad idea.
I would need an occult roll from Latchy. And does Charlie know his parents' background at all?
Not really. He doesn't really talk to them much.
So
Okay, how do I do a cult roll? Is it the D10 thing?
yeah, the two
Well, it's a 30, so I failed whatever it is.
a 30 out of what?
5.
100.
What?
Out of a 5. So
He doesn't have
no.
anything in occult.
I've got no occult. No.
At 5 in the morning, there's nobody in the Masonic temple to let you in the building. They haven't opened yet.
well, I'm not keen on going to the people's house who's apparently messed with something they shouldn't have.
Well, there's the university library, and they're always open.
No, I'm just saying if you want to go, to your resources, just go on your own.
Seems like a great way for us to get split up and eaten.
Going to your parents' house seems like a great way for us all to go together and be eaten.
That's true. The university library, though, is less my parents' house and more a university.
Look, all I'm saying is I'm gonna slide this piece of paper over to you, and ignore where it says my last will and testament at the top. I'm gonna need you to sign it at the bottom, and then you can go to your parents and go to your library.
Give me an intelligence roll on that one.
84 out of 90.
Yeah, I got a 40 out of 90.
So you actually slip him the piece of paper and try and convince him to sign it. And he's like, nope.
Yeah.
If I sign anything, I'm reading it first. No. So,
You'll slip up sometime.
if you, Charlie wants to go to the university to do research. If the two of you go to the university, you would have to make rolls to see if you can, like, use one of their empty dorm spaces to crash out while Charlie's in the library. Because, like I said, it is only 5 in the morning.
I could disguise us as normal university students.
And Lachi is a university student, too.
Yeah, well, yeah. I can disguise myself as a normal university student, a male university student, so that I can go to the same hall.
What would a normal university student north of San Francisco in 1966 look like?
A stoner burnout?
Basically, yeah.
There
Yeah.
are windows. I know how to get people in windows and into dorms and universities. Yeah.
Apparently, your friend has broken into university doors before.
I've had girls break into university for me, but it works the same way. I've also broke into a Catholic girls' college. It can be done.
So he makes a habit of this stuff.
Well, I can either sneak in or I can disguise in.
Might
Mm,
be a good idea to do both.
Do you have anything that you in disguise?
Yes.
Okay. If you would prefer to do that, roll that and see how it goes.
50 out of 70.
You go into your bedroom in the house and you come back out a few minutes later, basically looking like a male, half stoned out college student.
Oh, Mike, I wanted her to look like a Catholic schoolgirl.
That would make her stand out even more.
Oh,
You would probably end up having the campus police called on you at that point.
it'd be worth it though.
Like once we sneak into a dorm room, I can use disguise for Catholic schoolgirl.
Okay.
Yeah, once you actually get into an empty dorm room, you can do whatever the hell you want after that.
Mike gave me chains beforehand, so
It's the big question is, can you make it in there without getting caught?
That's a good question. I have a good disguise to start with.
I
I've
will
got enough
hand
time to
you.
set up whoever the security guard is.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'll hand you like $500
I'm fairly rich.
to bribe
Right.
your way
We can
in if
just
you have
pay our
to.
way in, right? Okay, we're gonna take his money, but we're gonna try to just smooth talk our way in.
Okay.
Charlie's used to just paying the guards off and paying off the campus police, and they've come to expect it when they see him at this point.
What are you
So
talking about? Charlie's a good student.
didn't say anything about his grades.
I mean, just because he smokes in class and such doesn't mean that he's, a bad student.
When's the last time he actually did any of his classes and didn't just pay the professor for a grade?
Oh no, he does his anthropology and his history and that kind of thing. Just like math and science can go screw themselves.
He doesn't realize that for archaeology, math is actually useful.
Yeah, he doesn't really know that yet.
Uh, so he the three of you walk on the campus. Um, at this time in the morning, there are patrols of campus police around campus. Charlie flashes his student card and they let him through. Um, Latchy shows them his card and they're like, okay, but who's the guy with you over here?
I'm gonna make some like snuffling general burnout noises and say,
One of my other languages is well, I could try French, but I'm going to try Gaelic. Like, assuming that the guards won't understand Gaelic, I'm going to gabble at them in Gaelic. Come on, how? Ahi milachi.
And they're like, what?
Ahi on Venus. I guess. I can.
These, these guys are from San Francisco. They're like, what are you mumbling about?
I'm gonna say random words that vaguely sound like what he is saying and pretend like that's all I speak.
Yeah, I'll be
Yeah.
like, yeah, these two don't talk English so much. They speak, I don't really know, whatever that is, but they're cool guys.
Well,
I'm gonna pat my pockets on my shirt and look distressed about where my ID is gone.
uh,
And look to
well,
them pleadingly. I'll even make a charm roll. That is a 42 out of a 60.
well, you look at them rather pathetically, and they look at each other and mumble something, and then they turn to Charlie and they're like, "Well, you're responsible for him if anything goes wrong."
Yeah, I know. That's how it usually works. Hey, thanks for helping us here, and I slip them each 20 bucks.
They look around to make sure nobody else is there, and then they both pocket the 20. Just don't let just don't let those two get caught.
No worries. See you later, man. Or guys, I guess.
Bye. And they continue their rounds around campus.
Man, the proles, they always just take whatever you pay them.
You really just call them proles.
Yeah,
This
that's what
is
my
the
dad
height.
calls them.
You're having audio trouble there, Gary.
Yeah.
We can. Okay. I'll pause. Okay. Sorry about that. Technical issues.
Right. Lachi's just going tonto bananas because Charlie used the word proles, and he's a proud proletariat from Scotland. He's very socialist because you're bad.
I'm gonna turn to Latchy and be like, this is why I'm trying to take his money off of him. He obviously doesn't deserve it.
I mean, what does Charlie think's going to happen? Or you think that you're going to have like a mad ginger-headed president in control one day? Using words like that. It won't happen. It can't possibly happen.
No, I don't know what they're called, man. Dad just calls them the proles. You know, people that you pay.
Hmm?
You know what? I think you need to go do
Do
your
some etymology when you're like in your studies when you're going into your library. Like proletariat is like from the Latin. That just means the lower orders. It's a slur in Europe.
Oh. Huh. Well, that's probably why Dad uses it. I'll try to stop doing that.
Yeah, why don't you go get yourself eaten in the library? I mean, go do research. Hey, do you want to sign this paper for me?
No.
Okay, well, don't let any tentacles knock you over and drag you into the abyss on the way there.
Why would tentacles drag me into the abyss? It's a library.
Oh, Venus, look, you've got the opportunity to have a university dorm all to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And oh, by the way, that is what most people call the university library.
The
The
abyss.
abyss.
Yeah.
So I guess when I get there, I've got to roll library use,
Because
which I actually have skill points in.
unlike Charlie, most people don't want to be there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start trying to find a dorm room that's obviously unoccupied.
Look, Venus, Mike even gave me some cut-to-size chains. No idea what to do with them. You can show me.
Um, if Latchy is a college student,
Mm-hmm.
well, I guess he lives at the commune, so he wouldn't have a dorm room on campus.
I'm just gonna try to find a door that doesn't have that obnoxious decorating on the front that goes on in dorm halls.
Or the string that's tied to the doorknob that tells you it's currently being used.
Well, it depends on what hall we're in. The only all guy dorms I've ever been in have been engineering dorms, and none
I
of them
beg
ever
your
have
pardon.
that.
You've been in engineering dorms too. You are over my knee when I get you, honey.
um,
But they don't have socks on the doorknobs or shoelaces tied around them. It's an engineering dorm.
You did in my engineering dorm.
I remember those days quite vividly.
I still can't believe you've been in an old man's dormitory. You told me you were innocent at uni. Sorry,
Uh-huh.
Mike, I'm just going to get very upfront.
Yeah, I've never been innocent from day one.
Yeah.
The question for me is levels of activity. But
Little Miss Perfect promised me she was, but obviously she wasn't. She's got a history.
Anyway, are there any obviously
I blame you, Charlie.
unoccupied doors?
give me a spot hidden check and see if you can spot an empty one.
That is a 31 out of 50.
Uh, Not at the moment. You're having trouble finding one.
Okay.
Can she push it with luck points?
Yeah. Uh, you'd have to have what 19 luck.
Well, I have 60 luck, so
If that's something you want to spend 19 luck on, you can.
Oh, she got 31 out of 50? So
Yeah.
she beat it by 19 points. Not went under. She went under by 19 points, so she succeeded on the roll, I guess.
Yeah,
yeah.
I thought it was the other way around.
Oh yeah, my spot hidden is 50.
Okay. So you at the end of the hall, right next to the hall monitors room, which you can tell which one that is because there's a sign that says hall monitor on the door.
Yeah, the sign that says squealer.
Yeah.
Snitch.
Um, the room next to it, however, is just a blank door. It doesn't, you know.
You know, there's a high chance. I turned to Latchy. There's a high chance that this is where the hall monitor, the dorm monitor, keeps all of the paraphernalia that he takes from the other rooms. This could be a gold mine.
What other paraphernalia?
There's always an empty room where they put all the alcohol they confiscate from everyone.
Well, you see, the way the dorms work is there's a room on either side with an adjoining bathroom,
Mm-hmm.
and there are two beds, generally twin beds in each room. So, four people usually share two rooms with an adjoining bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
But the hall monitor get the dorm floor monitor, as they were called, gets their own room, and the one next to it looks unoccupied, but you're gonna have to open the door to find out.
I'll do that.
Okay.
Absolutely not. I'm the male. I insist that I'll go first, so I'll throw that. Old-fashioned courtesy.
So, do either one of you have a skill that would let you open and open a locked door?
Oh, um, is it a traditional lock? Just like a normal lock and key lock?
Yeah.
Uh, probably not for me. I don't think for him either.
What, you guys didn't put points in the locksmith?
No.
I'm pretty hefty. I'm size 85, so I might just like shoulder it.
That'd be kind of loud, but if you want
Yes.
to.
Noisy at 5 in the morning, but you can give it a shot if you want to.
It's the 1960s. Is it a Yale lock? In which case, I can shoulder it very quiet. In fact, we don't need a roll. All you need is a plastic Coke bottle.
Plastic what?
Plastic
Coke
Coke
bottle.
bottle. You slide the plastic Coke bottle down the side of the door, and the door will open for you. You don't need a roll.
Never heard of that.
Oh yeah, if you take a piece of plastic, even their ID cards
Oh,
would work, and you
oh,
jim the door.
you mean like somebody using a credit card?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Could I be smart, or one of us be smart or dexterous enough to figure this out?
Yeah. The two of you give me a dex roll and see which one of you manages to do it.
Your dex is 45.
So you need to roll
So
under
do I want higher than 45 or like I've got a
Lower.
9 and 0? It's 90 fail or 90 pass?
19?
you.
90, 90.
Oh,
I'm throwing a
90.
d20.
90
Sorry,
is a
I'm-
fail.
I barely got it. I got a 62 out of 65.
So Venus takes your student ID and runs it along the edge of the door, and the door pops open. And I need both of you to give me a spot hidden roll, because
Great.
you're walking into a dark room. So
Yours will be 25.
I've got a 5-0. What am I
So
doing
you
against?
fail.
More like
You fail. Yours is only 25. 37
Out of?
out of 50.
Oh.
Um, Venus walks in the door fairly easily. Latchy walks in and accidentally bumps against one of the two twin beds in the room because the beds have larger wooden frames on them. He cracks his knee on one of them walking into a dark room. Now that you guys are in, what are you gonna do?
I suggest turning on the light. Oh, I'm not there, so I can't suggest anything.
Well, yeah, I'm gonna fumble around for the light, of course. I'm not an idiot.
So you find the wall switch right above the dresser on the side near the doorway and turn the light on. Do either one of you close the door?
Yes. I'm very much want to close the door.
So you close the door and lock it from the inside.
Mm-hmm.
And so the two of you are now, and in fact, the room is empty. Although it does have some leftover clothing and stuff that where it seems like the last occupant, when they moved out, they just left stuff there.
Okay. Does it look like the hall door monitor has been using this as a stash place?
Um,
Do you know,
Not
Latch is not really bothered because he's just going to go behind Venus and he's going to take out that chain that Mike gave him earlier. I think Venus is now going to be chained to the bed for the next
well,
duration.
you have to negotiate that with her. You can't.
I'm behind her. She doesn't have a clue. I'm just going to take her on.
At this point, the only thing Latchy is worried about is whether his knee is ever going to work again.
Yeah, you've
Bumping
been
into the
injured.
bed frame.
Oh, Daddy Latchy wanted to play. It's not easy. Like, I'll sit on the
Like I
bed and
said,
nurse
that's a,
mummy.
that's a negotiation between the two of you. While Charlie is off at the library.
So
In
speaking
fact,
of that, do I have to roll library use?
yes.
Okay. I actually
is-
put points into that, so I'm happy.
That is the most boring stat I have ever heard of, by the
Right?
way.
You would,
Library use.
you'd be surprised how many people I've seen while I've been watching other Call of Cthulhu who botch that skill.
Wow. 1 out of 40, but 1, so it doesn't matter.
So
I just
Charlie,
critical library use.
Charlie goes directly to the Charlie goes directly to the occult section without having to ask the librarian or anything.
And the book
He's-
just falls open to the correct page from
He-
the shelf.
He's done this so many times, he knows exactly where he's going.
I think your dice are mocking you.
I
It
think
used
my
your
dice.
critical on library.
Oh my gosh. Uh, I'm gonna remember this forever.
Best roll he ever did.
Yeah.
And it's a library use roll. Oh god. Couldn't have come in combat. It had
Yeah.
so um you take 3 or 4 books off the shelf that are all about strange occult occurrences, and you sit down at the nearest table and start leafing through them. There is a myth about a giant bunny rabbit, and you see pictures of leprechauns, but they don't look like the thing that you saw in your dream. The creature that you saw in your dream looks more like if James Bond was a leprechaun. It just doesn't really fit.
Well, he updated for his modern day audience.
Yeah. But you find out that all 3 of these things are myths that have been spread at various different times in various different parts of the world. The really strange part is nobody's ever reported them talking or passing messages or any of that.
Hmm. Um. Yeah, I guess I will have to go either to my parents or take a flight to the old country if I really wanted to learn more about what my family's been doing with these things.
Yeah. It does make you wonder just what your parents have been up to when you're not home.
Yeah. Um,
And it also makes you wonder why Harold has never mentioned anything.
that's true.
So you continue looking at your pouring through books trying to see if you can get any kind of lead at all so that you know where to start in your family's library when you get there. While you're doing that, what are the other 2 of you doing?
I'm going to sit on the bed and drop my trousers and let Venus look to my knee and make that better. And while she's doing that, I'm going to discuss the messages that we had. So there was a rabbit, which is fecundity and luck. And there's been a leprechaun, which is luck. What was the other messenger? Was that the only two messengers?
No, yours was
The toy
the plastic
soldiers.
soldiers that you
Oh, the
had.
plastic soldiers. And it's luck whether they win on well, when I was a boy, you threw marbles at them and like they fell over. Like that's luck again.
Uh,
Uh,
should I make a first aid roll?
you should definitely make a first aid roll because when Latchy sits down, he notices his right knee is starting to swell up.
What happens when you get a 30 out of 30?
You succeed just barely.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just barely in this? Okay.
It's a success. You're not great at first aid, but you wrap his knee and ice it. That's about all the stuff you can find here as far as first aid. Um, the thing that you do find, however,
Mm-hmm.
when you go into the bathroom to get all of this stuff,
Mm-hmm.
is like I said, it was a shared bathroom. There seems to be a aluminum keg sitting in the bathtub.
I'm gonna check to see if it's full.
It's about a quarter full.
That's
It
enough
must,
for a party.
it must be left over from the last party that.
Well, once I'm
that
done bandaging his knee, I'm gonna go back in and retrieve it.
okay. Yeah. What? 55-gallon keg. About a quarter of it left, so 11, 12 gallons
Yeah, that'll be a party.
of what you don't know.
You
Because
said you could stop massaging my knee. Now higher and higher.
there's no. You assume it's a beer keg because that's what most beer kegs look like. But there's no markings or brand name on the keg. It's just a plain aluminum keg. So,
Well, if we're gonna have like a good old college experience, we have to have beer to go with it.
so 11 or 12 gallons is still rather heavy, but
Right.
you're able to drag it out of the bathtub. Give me a strength check to see if you can actually pull this
Ugh.
off.
Okay,
I'll do it.
Latchy might be the one doing this.
Okay, what dice do I use?
You're the ones you've been using. Yeah, that was a 62 out of 20.
I've
Ow.
got
I am not a strong person. You are a strong person. Your strength is 60.
right, so what's a 30 out of 60?
A success.
A good success.
Bah. Yeah. You, even with the knee, you are able to pull this keg out of the bathtub and basically roll it into your room and set it between the two beds that are there. And it still has the tap in it from the last time somebody used it, which you really don't have any idea how long it's been there. It could still be good. It could be flat. could have started fermenting all over again, depending on how long it's been there. So, which one of you wants to take the chance to find out?
Well, I mean, does it smell terrible?
Not overly. It smelled like
Would a
beer.
knowledge of the natural world help me in determining whether this has gone bad or not?
Yeah,
Okay, well, there's the hoping.
because when beer's gone bad, you can smell it.
The second time this has happened, a 40 out of 40.
So, you you get close to the tap and you smell it. And
Hmm.
I'll give ties to the player, which means it smelled like beer. It doesn't smell. Well, you can't really tell if it's flat till you taste it.
So I'm
But
going to turn to Lachi and say, okay, I'm going to teach you a very important American tradition. It's called a keg stand.
What?
Okay, I'm gonna, I'm gonna try to teach Lachi here a keg stand.
okay. So how do you do that?
Well, I need to do a handstand, and then I drink from the spout. And this is apparently the height of college fun, especially in the 60s.
Before they started using the
Beer bong?
5 foot long tubes and
Yeah.
such, yeah.
You know, I'm exotic and European. Why don't we do it the European way? That I'm just going to pour some onto your navel and drink it that way.
I'm starting to think Lachi has a one-track mind.
You wouldn't be wrong as far as that, I don't think.
I think Lachi's trying to start his red hot American summer in April.
Why did you change your name from Venus to April?
Well, what
Oh.
you allow him to get away with is up to you.
By the way, we are past time.
Oh yeah.
So, Gary, what time is it on your end?
It's
You don't want
10
to know.
to 6. I start work in 2.5 hours. So
Because it's after midnight for them.
Yep.
So,
I start work in 2 hours too.
yeah. So we'll end part 1 here with the two of you trying to get the last of the beer out of the keg, and with Charlie realizing that the university library can't hold the candle to the library your parents have, which makes you seriously wonder what your parents spend their time doing.
Yep. All right.
And we will pick up with all of this.
Like 2
Let's
weeks from
see.
now.
Yeah, because next week is Gunpowder and Brass. So the next one that I am running would be 2 weeks, 2 Sundays from now.
Okay. All right.
All right.
So thanks for watching. Everybody like and subscribe, comment. check out our
Yep.
Facebook, our Twitter, our Spotify, our
Um,
Twitch pretty soon, and our Discord.
and definitely check out the YouTube videos because we have new overlays for them and new backplate that Rowain did that look really cool, and you should check them out.
And I will plug myself very briefly here. Um, I also run the game The Bird in the Basement, and I've recently on Royal Road started the first chapters for The Bird in the Basement web novel. So if you're interested in that world at all and you've been following that, you can read how I think it should have played out and not what they decided to do.
Because that's something I've found out along the way. DMs should never plan really tight because players are going to screw you up every time.
Yeah.
So, it never turns out the way the DM thought it would in the beginning. So, and for those of you who are busy and prefer podcasts, check out our podcast because Josh puts things up there as quickly as he can get to them, and
Yep.
you can listen to our craziness while you're doing other things.
All right. So thanks
So,
everybody. I hope you have a great night. I really enjoyed tonight's game, and yeah, I hope I speak for everyone when I say I really want this to continue. I love Call of Cthulhu.
well, um, if there were only 8 or 9 days a week, we could
Yeah.
add more stuff.
Mhm.
But
All right.
I will keep trying to come up with Cthulhu stuff for holidays at the very least.
Okay. All right. I think that's everything. So hopefully we'll see you all again soon. Have a great night. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.